focus. Ideate, innovate, enable. ICICI Lombard and CNBC-TV18 present India Risk Management Awards, a decade of celebrating risk champions.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the 10th edition of India Risk Management Awards presented by ICICI Lombard and CNBC-TV18. Well, a decade ago, a seed was sown, a seed of recognition for the silent guardians of Indian business, the risk management professionals. Tonight, as we celebrate the 10th annual India Risk Management Awards, popularly also known as IRMA, we stand at a momentous crossroads. And now to set the tone for the evening, I would like to invite CNBC-TV18's Latha Venkatesh for the welcome address.
I just want to say a very big thank you to ICICI Lombard for conceptualizing this idea and allowing CNBC-TV18 to be a partner to this. It all started 10 years ago, and at that time, I think we had barely 10 categories of awards. Today, we have 40 categories of awards because the word has spread and more industries and subcategories of industries have thrown their hat in the ring to be nominated as a candidate, to be analyzed by an exemplary jury, and to come and receive the award in front of other professionals, their peers who know what it is to analyze risk. So my heartiest congratulations to all the winners, as well to all those who have thrown their hat in the ring.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to deliver the keynote address, please join me in welcoming a visionary leader who is at the helm of India's largest private sector general insurance company, ICICI Lombard. Put your hands together for Mr. Sanjeev Mantri, MD and CEO, ICICI Lombard.
The 10th edition of IRMA is something very special. In many ways, when we look at decades, it simplifies things. What started from large corporates, now today we have even MSME becoming part of this event, because risk, when it happens, is not only for large, it's for small. In fact, it's difficult for small companies to actually endure risk, and they need to manage it quite effectively. What we started 10 years back and where we are and what we want to be 10 years from now. Clearly, next 10 years, through these events, through this particular forum, we want to take it to next level. My request is, when we look back in time, 10 years from now, we should be able to say that these champions have multiplied. 10 years back, what was our GDP? Around $1.3 trillion. Now, as we speak, we are a shade below $3.5 trillion. We all speak very positively of the fact that we will reach almost $5 trillion in the next 2 to 3 years, and in 2030, we would be more than $7 trillion of economy. Humongous. This is something which is credible. Believe me, each one of us who's part of the workforce will have a lot more to achieve personally and otherwise with respect to our organization. To forums like this, we want to see if we can create an impact. There was a time when we all used to believe, will these forums lead effectively the message? But the fact that you all have endured Mumbai traffic and you're present here sincerely means a lot to us as ICICI Lombard. As champions of risk, you have demonstrated that you would make a time out when it comes to it. To us, this forum is all about engaging and co-creating tremendous value. Risk, as we understand, through process and converting that into significant, deeper practices can transform. Thank you so much for being present here. It's indeed a pleasure and an honor to welcome you all and look forward to a great evening. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, traditionally, risk management has been a boardroom game, a top-down affair, so to say, where senior leadership call the shots. But in today's complex world, that strategy just doesn't cut it anymore. Risks are everywhere, and they are not confined to corporate balance sheets alone. That is why we are breaking the mold with this panel discussion. which is titled Beyond the Boardroom, Risk Champions. And to moderate this session, may I please request Latha to once again come up on the stage. I would now also like to invite her panelists. First off, Mr. M.V. Deshmukh, former director and fire advisor, Government of Maharashtra, and chairman, Fire Safe India Foundation and president, National Association of Fire Officers. His ongoing mission is to drive Fire Safe India, focusing on enhancing national fire safety standards. A big round of applause. Next up, someone who doesn't need introduction, Saina Nehwal, India's badminton player, top seed. Her achievements have significantly boosted badminton's popularity in India, earning her prestigious national honors like Padma Bhushan and Khel Ratna. We are so privileged to have you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Prahlad Kakkar, Indian film director, and of course, the ad guru. Fusion of commercial acumen and storytelling mastery has earned him the title, rightly so, of India's ad guru. His influence extends beyond boardrooms, shaping the industry and mentoring future creators. Now, I really would have taken this opportunity to introduce Dr. Atul Limaye as well, but unfortunately, he's stuck in horrible traffic, and I'm sure the four of you will fill up for his absence. All yours.
Saina, my first question to you is not about the risk of becoming a sportsman. It's very risky. Either you have to be successful, A1, or nothing. Jab aap khelte ho, the one chalang that you have to do to definitely win a point, but the danger of pulling a muscle, and you know that better than anyone else. वो dilemma आप कैसे सुलझाते हो? Because you have only split second कि मैं ये risk लूँ कि ना लूँ. So tell us about how do you face that risk on the field, on the nets?
मुझे यही बात मम्मी से पूछनी है. गुस्सा आता है कि मुझे क्यों डाला बैडमिंटन में. It's a risky game, of course. When I started playing, मैं मम्मी से पूछती थी, why do you think I'll become an Olympic medalist? Why do you think I'll become world number 1? I don't have anyone to look up to. जो मुझसे पहले खेलते थे वो सब फर्स्ट राउंड हार जाते थे चाइना वालों से या किसी से भी, और मैं हंस रही थी एक्चुअली मम्मी को देख के when she was telling me that you will become an Olympic medalist. And I used to laugh at her, and she was एक थप्पड़ मार के चल 10 राउंड लगा start कर. And I used to do that. Of course, I was 9 years old, but when I started winning the state championship within like 1 month of my summer camp, I was looking at her and I was like, Mummy, ये कैसे हो गया? Within 1 month I'm winning under 10 state championship and I'm already playing at the national level. And she's like, just trust me, just trust the work, and we will definitely get where we are thinking of. And I was still laughing at her. I was like, ठीक है, national champion बन जाऊँगी, ठीक है, job आ जाएगा. That's what really mattered, that point of time. Because what I used to hear from my senior was, एक job आ जाएगा, national champion बनना है. And it was not like anything of the international level what we were thinking at. And, I was also thinking about that, कि अभी national champion कैसे बनना है. And I was following my mother's footsteps. She was telling me, ये खाना है, which I should not like. बादाम oil पीना है, दूध में डाल के, अंडे खाने हैं, ये सब. I should not like at all, but I was like, maybe, she's thinking something right for me, and I have to just follow that blindly and see what I do. Of course, I used to not like it as a 9-year-old. I used to hate it, I used to just like playing with my friends and, just studying. And Papa is a scientist, so I wanted to become a doctor. So I was like, this is all, I don't think I'm going to do so well in this. But, by 1-2 years, I was there I was winning under 13 national championship. I was winning under 16 national championship. And I was playing at the international level when I was only 12. I was, I was actually in the Thomas and Uber Cup, which is actually dream of many players to play. And I was only 12 looking at the world number 1 from China. I'm like, kabhi inko hara payenge ya nahi. But, only one person who thought about me was my mom. Papa to 9 to 5 busy the. Of course, he was like, acha kar le beta, acha kar le. That was the only thing he could say. But she was the one who actually thought that everything is possible and I will make sure that, she will do it. Today, when I look back and I'm like, just because of my mom's belief, and she took that risk that I can be something in badminton, and today I am world number 1, Olympic medalist, and I have 24 international titles, so many Super Series titles, just because of my mom's belief and risk. she could have happily made me a doctor, but she thought, housewife, no, no, I don't think अभी तो sports person ही बनना है, housewife तो नहीं. But I think sports person जो एक I feel so blessed to be a sports person because country को serve करना is what everyone dreams of, and I got this opportunity to do that being a player, and now every small girl wants to become Saina or Sindhu or Sania Mirza. That's because we are in sports and serving the country, and I feel so proud of taking that risk and being here today. Of course, injuries, as you said, injuries have spoiled so many careers, but I didn't think of that. I know it's not, I'm sitting here after achieving so much and I can just say कि आप उस बारे में मत सोचो and you just keep on playing. But it's finally a sport you're playing. It's whether it's tennis, whether it is cricket or badminton. You have to somewhere just think about that I want to be the best. Injuries hui, that's fine. You are going to come back, you're going to again be the best if you believe in yourself, and वो possible होगा if you have that trust in you. एक आदमी को तो पागल होना पड़ता है, या पापा या मम्मी, नहीं तो स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन नहीं बनेगा.
Oh, that's a brilliant sentence.
ICICI Lombard and CNBC-TV18 present India Risk Management Awards, a decade of celebrating risk champions. ICICI Lombard and CNBC-TV18 present India Risk Management Awards, a decade of celebrating risk champions.
Let's welcome Dr. Atul Limaye, stuck in traffic but made it here. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Kakkar, I knew you as an ad filmmaker and a filmmaker, but wine tasting, a restaurant in Prithvi, scuba diving, I mean, you've taken risks all over the place. But let me stick only to advertising or filmmaking at this point in time. You've done some really, pushing the envelope kind of ad films. And films, I mean, Ankur itself would be, in its time, a risky film to take, but it succeeded. So how do you approach? Ki kahan tak push kare that aapki jo company, the company which gives you the advertising mandate, is okay with you? How do you assess that risk?
See, most of the time with most ad filmmakers, especially today, they become risk averse because the suits, that's this room, have actually taken over the creative mandate of the yahoos, that is me. But always remember one thing, all the MBAs, regardless of which language you've done your MBA in, even if it's Sanskrit, the motto is the same. And the motto is, if you have a gut reaction, take a purgative. So regardless of what else they teach you in B school, this is your overriding thought from the moment you enter the portals, from every professor in that place saying, look for your package. Do not risk your package. You're going to serve. You are never going to be in control of your life. Somebody else is going to be in control of your life. How does that happen? Why does that happen with so many of us? I believe it happens when you are born. Because as parents, we make our children risk averse. Because we teach them fear. We teach them fear of failure, fear of danger, fear of risking anything except being secure in a government job. I was brought up by an army family. And we were in the middle of risk all the time. My father used to go off to the frontiers and to the wars and to whatever else. My mother used to handle the family. But my mother became a widow at a very early age, and she decided that she wasn't going to look for help to bring up her children. And she decided the most important part of her upbringing of her children, her two children, was to make them fearless. So she worked very hard, like her mother did. Don't worry about failing. Because what is parenting? Parenting is to teach your children how to fly. And if the child asks you, what happens if I fall? Then the answer of a parent is, we'll catch you. That is parenting. Not, don't do this, don't do that. Always encourage them to fly, even before they're ready. Because then you get people who are risk takers with a passion. Then you become an adrenaline junkie like me. I get bored if there's no risk. I start looking for things to do. Start looking for people to provoke.
That's a great lesson, Mr. Kakkar. For those who have spent a lifetime earning their package and their awards in trying to assess and control risk, the message as a parent and as a person, go ahead and take risk.
Take risk.
Yes.
Fly. We'll catch you if you fall.
That's a great message.
What's the big deal?
I think this calls for a round of applause. Thank you very much for teaching us to be brave. Mr. Deshmukh, you know, we take risks because there is a fire department who will manage. So my question to you is, can you narrate an event when you were caught unawares and, you know, as the head of a huge department which had to save the city or save a suburb, you know, or save the state, how you took, you know, decisions at that time?
First of all, the first risk in my life was my dad was a police officer. My mother had a lot of interest in farming. So being a police officer, my uncle being in army, there was a lot of desire to be in some uniform service. When I thought of these services, there was a lot of encouragement from my parents, both. That, okay, you want to go to army, you go to army. But somehow I was driven to the fire services. And there was a lot of resistance. No, you will not join fire service. Because there was no reason for risk. So risk was in police department, risk was in army, border security force, all these forces. What is there in the fire department? So there was a lot of resistance. But anyhow, destiny was there and I got into the fire service as a very amateur fire officer. Today, there are many youngsters with the graduate engineers. We started BTech, fire engineering courses. And in India, there are 6 institutions running the engineering courses and people realize off late that it is an engineering subject and it's not just that the one fire truck goes with the quantity of water and pours into the fire and that is the fire department. That mindset was completely changed. And now the people raise it and they say, yes, he's the fire officer, he's the fire chief. And that is the change. I was one of the change agents to drive this change and I had a team with me. Now, since Latha told me to narrate one experience, this is correlated to industries and the general cultural issue rather than the safety issue. I will not name the company, but I was placed as a fire officer in charge in the Roha industrial area in MIDC. I was just 22 that time, 22 or 23 maybe. And there was a methyl mercaptan gas which was used for their process. And they had taken trial batches and these reactors were glass-lined reactors. And we got a call one fine morning, Sunday morning. They were doing some after pilot run, they were doing some cleaning and cleansing operations. And one person who entered the vessel, he collapsed there. And the other person went to rescue him, he also, collapsed there. And we got a call. And I went in, going into that vessel itself was a challenge. So there is one big company, you may be knowing, the Sudarshan Chemicals. We requested them, so they had some outsourced heavy gangs. They helped me to open the shell of that top part of that vessel. And then I got down into it. And then we are trained accordingly. So my approach was different than what public was looking at. So I rescued the person who entered the second. One that is, it was easy to take him out. Second, that the survival chances of him were more. Within, say, another 5 minutes, I could get out another chap also. I went to that security cabin of the company, and to my utter surprise, the first casualty was kept in the same cabin on a stretcher, and they were waiting the second one to get out, so that in one ambulance, both can be transported to the hospital. And the way both died. So you understand what I'm trying to say? The cultural challenge. So risk management is a big thing and you are doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Mr. Limaye, Mr. Deshmukh touched on the fact that often you have to take split-second decisions and the delay of taking both the patients, delaying one patient and perhaps in the process not saving the other life. So you are always taking split-second decisions in a cutting-edge field like cardiology. So what is your approach? How much do you push and take a risk to save, knowing fully well that taking that risk can also cost the life?
You know, in our business or in our way of work, there is an aphorism. Good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. And it's particularly true in the work that I do, which is cardiology. So a large part of my work involves patients who have a heart attack. And just to give you a brief medical school background, people get heart attacks because their arteries get blocked. That's the primary reason. And you have to work very fast to unclog that artery, because the longer that artery is blocked, the more damage to the heart muscle. The more damage to the heart muscle, the longer it takes for it to recover. And therefore, speed is very, very important. And so I've always believed that a protocolized, regimented approach is what is needed in a field like cardiology. So we are not creative people in that sense. Our creation is very minute. Most of it is just rote doing the same thing every day. That is what we do. So our processes need to be fireproof, so to speak. What that means is that when a patient rolls into the casualty to the emergency room, an ECG needs to be done within the first 5 minutes of his or her arrival. Once that ECG is done, somebody needs to quickly interpret that and say that this person is having a heart attack, and then they trigger the whole cardiac team, which involves me and 4 or 5 other people. And all of us, I need to make the call saying, yes, this person is having a heart attack. And then the process rolls where all of us get into our vehicles and get to the cath lab as quickly as possible and try to open that artery as quickly as possible. And when I think of risk assessment, I think for me, it is a subconscious process more than a oriented process. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is when you enter the room, the cath lab in my case, it's important to, so to speak, read the room. You know what I mean? So what does reading the room mean? What condition is the patient in? Is your team equipped? Is your team ready? Is your team aware of all the possibilities that that person might have as you start working? And as you start working, you micro-adjust to whatever is going on. So there are very fine adjustments that you're making as you're going through the case. And so risk mitigation in that sense is essentially doing the same thing each and every day, time and time again. And as the situation demands, you make micro adjustments. If somebody needs more blood pressure support, you do that on the fly as the case goes on. So I think risk mitigation in cardiology particularly has to do with doing the same thing, having a regimented, protocolized approach, having your team on board with your vision, the way you do things, so that those 20, 30 minutes are the most comfortable of your entire day.
That's fascinating, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Limaye, Mr. Deshmukh, Saina, and Mr. Kakkar. Let's hope that we will have another fascinating discussion like this.
ICICI Lombard and CNBC-TV18 present India Risk Management Awards, a decade of celebrating risk champions. ICICI Lombard and CNBC-TV18 present India Risk Management Awards, a decade of celebrating risk champions.
Let's get ready to celebrate innovation and excellence as we unveil the first set of winners at the 10th Annual India Risk Management Awards. And to present the same, may I please invite on stage Mr. Sanjeev Mantri and Latha Venkatesh. Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin with the large cap segment. And the first category is Masters of Risk Private Company. And the award goes to Hindalco Industries. Moving on to our next award category, which is Master of Risk PSU, and the winner is Bharat Petroleum. Our next category for the evening is Masters of Risk Automotive. And the winner is Mahindra and Mahindra. Next up, Masters of Risk Auto Ancillary. And the winner is Apollo Tyres. Next category is Masters of Risk Capital Projects and Infrastructure. And the award goes to Vari Energies. Next up is the category Masters of Risk FMCG. And the winner is Hindustan Unilever. Up next, Masters of Risk IT, ITS, and the winner is Tata Consultancy Services. Our next award category is Masters of Risk Metals and Mining, and the award goes to Tata Steel. Our next category is Masters of Risk Pharma, and the winner is Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. Masters of Risk, Power, Energy and Utilities is the next category for the evening, and the award goes to Tata Power. Our next category is Masters of Risk Telecom, and the winner is Reliance Jio Infocom. The next category is Masters of Risk Banking, and the winner is Axis Bank. Moving to our next category, that is Masters of Risk NBFC, and the award goes to Tata Capital. The next category is Masters of Risk Logistics, and the winner is Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone. Moving on, the next category is Best Risk Practice, and the award goes to Hindustan Zinc. Well, the next category is Masters of Risk in Brand and Social Media Risk Management, and the winner is the Indian Hotels Company. Our next category is Masters of Risk in Business Continuity Management, and the award goes to Tata Consultancy Services. Up next, the category is Masters of Risk in Cybersecurity. And the winner, once again, is Tata Consultancy Services. Our next category for the evening in the large cap segment is the Masters of Risk in ESG. And the winner is Hindustan Zinc. Masters of Risk in Fraud Prevention and Ethics Management is the next category. And the award goes to Eicher Motors. Coming up next, Masters of Risk in Regulatory Compliance Management. And the winner is Titan Company. The next category this evening is Masters of Risk in Risk Governance. And the winner is Persistent Systems. The second last category in this large cap segment is Masters of Risk in Risk Technology. And the winner is ONGC Videsh. And the final award category in the large cap segment is Masters of Risk in Supply Chain Risk Management. And the winner is Nestle India. Thank you, Mr. Mantri. Thank you, Latha, for doing the round one of the honors for the evening. Well, in today's rapidly evolving business landscape, organizations face a myriad of challenges and opportunities. The path to progress is often fraught with potential pitfalls, yet the most successful companies find ways to navigate through these obstacles and emerge stronger. To guide us through this fascinating discussion, we are honored today to have with us a true industry veteran and a visionary leader who has been a cornerstone of Indian industry. Please welcome S. Sandilya, Chairman, Eicher Motors. And may I request Latha to please come back on stage to take this conversation forward.
Mr. Sandilya, I remember, Eicher was also making tractors. We now hear of it more in terms of the Volvo trucks and, of course, Royal Enfield. But you must have been at the helm when the actual decision was taken for a stale tractor company to get into motorcycles. And Royal Enfield at that time was Enfield India, not even doing all that well. Was that one of the biggest risky decisions? How did you all make that transition?
Yes or no? I think let me first get across as to Eicher was only a tractor manufacturing company in 1960. We started then, I joined in 75. But that's the main business. And then slowly we diversified and got into something like 13, 14 businesses when I was the chairman. We had some 14 businesses being held. Royal Enfield is a very unique way we got into it. The company manufacturing motorcycles in Chennai or Madras those days, they had financial trouble. They sought our help to basically support them financially. So Mr. Vikram Lal, at that time, the helm of affairs, decided that we will invest some money, but take over the management. So we took over the management of the company with the existing management also being part of the system. They were all part of our management committee. We all used to be part of the management committee. That continued for a couple of years, and then they decided that why not get out of it. And so they sold the company to us. And that's how we got into the two-wheeler business. Yes, it was a challenge. It was not doing very well, but we revived it, turned it on. That's, I think, the balance is history. Let me not get into details, and there's some specific questions. However, to get out of the tractor business and focus on only commercial vehicles and motorcycles was a very major decision. Royal Enfield, as I mentioned to you, our intention of getting into it was not with the intention of taking it over. We just said, let us help out, let us see how things come out. But then when the old owners wanted to leave, we took it up. It was challenging. They had multiple plants, and they had some of them not doing pretty well. Some products were not doing very well. So it was a major challenge to turn around that company from a loss-making company. Even when I took over the chairman, the company was incurring huge losses. So a lot of people said, why are you continuing? Why don't you close this business? It's not worthwhile. We said, no, it's a good business. We need to strategize it, change the approach, and then ultimately we've done whatever we have done. Today is a global brand.
ICICI Lombard and CNBC-TV18 present India Risk Management Awards, a decade of celebrating risk champions. ICICI Lombard and CNBC-TV18 present India Risk Management Awards, a decade of celebrating risk champions.
The whole automobile sector, we would have never thought that once you get into two-wheelers or cars, it looks like a business for a lifetime. But suddenly now, electric vehicles, EVs, have completely changed the game at a time when EVs have not really taken off. So how do you, manage the risk of this change?
You need to kind of take these things in the stride, okay? Things change. Electric vehicles still not spread out, right? It is taking time. Costs are very high. I think it's not necessarily affordable. Charging stations are not here in the country. It will take quite some time before it becomes a real... I don't think it will replace the entire ICE segment totally. And therefore, I think people like Bosch and other companies are investing in ICE. We have huge investments in the ICE sector. So it will not eliminate. However, we need to take things in the stride as things go along and find out what are the things happening in the market, what is happening in the foreign country, what is happening within our own country. I think in our company, we will focus a lot on technology before getting into this, but then it needs a lot of attention. We just cannot do anything and just enter the market. So, but it is a challenge, it is a risk, but then we need to assess that we have to get into EV is a no-brainer. There's no choice because the entire world is getting into it.
Actually, in your 55-year career, where do you think the risk is maximum? I mean, if you can, since there are risk managers over here, is it usually financial risk? Is it usually commodity risk? Is government the biggest risk?
When Eicher first was in tractor, I mentioned to you, we got into commercial vehicles. And there were 4 companies which came into Japanese collaboration. Eicher was one of them. Many people, veterans in the industry, told, why are you wasting your time in commercial vehicles? Because Tatas and Leylands are two duopolies, and how will you succeed? And how will you live them? We took up the challenge. We were there. Out of 4, only 2 survived, 2 died. That's fine. However, when we were only in the light commercial vehicle segment, a question came up whether should we get into heavy commercial vehicles or not. That was a major risk that Eicher took at a point of time. And why I'm saying the major risk is the company had just a gross block of 60. We had just come out of losses and making some profits. We indigenized the vehicle totally. And we decided that we need to get into heavy commercial vehicles because we cannot survive in the market because the competition duopoly will kind of make it die down in no time because they can undercut the prices and throw us out of the market. We decided, and company was taking the highest risk at that time. We had a gross block of 60 crores. We planned and invested 120 crores. So, which is company's survival at risk. I mean, it's not something which you can just take it as a light, something, what kind of risk we are taking. We took the risk. Because of few of us had passion that we must do, and that is required for survival. Okay. I think that's where the question came up, that if you want to be in the business, get into heavy commercial vehicles. If you don't want to be, sell your business and get out. So then we took the risk. We did the entire project through internal financing. We didn't borrow a single penny. We didn't borrow a single penny. And that is also part of risk management. If you are running your business in a best manner to ensure that you make profits at a reasonable level, finance it through internal accruals. We did take some small loans from technology development board for engine development vehicle, and this is totally indigenously developed, including the 6-cylinder engine, the cabin, the chassis, everything was indigenously developed. Without risk, you cannot run a business. A risk is a part of running a business. How do you identify? How do you mitigate it? What do you do to ensure in case something happens? How do you kind of manage it? How do you get out of it? I think that's the story.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sandilya, for your words of encouragement.
My pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now set for the next set of awards. And to present the awards, we already have Latha and Sir here. I'll also request Mr. Mantri to join in. Thank you. So now we are moving to the mid and small cap segment, and we will start with the mid cap segment. The first category in this segment is Masters of Risk Private Company, and the winner is Tega Industries. The next category is Masters of Risk Auto Ancillary, and the award goes to Victoria Auto. For the next category, which is Masters of Risk Capital Projects and Infrastructure, Ind Infraway Trust wins the award. In the mid-cap segment, Masters of Risk IT, ITS is the next category, and the company which stood out for the jury is Happiest Minds Technologies. Next up, the category in the mid-cap segment is Masters of Risk Industrial Chemical Manufacturing, and the winner is Balaji Amines. Moving on to the next category, Masters of Risk Real Estate, and the award goes to Mindspace Business Parks REIT. We are now moving to the next category for the evening, Masters of Risk Travel and Hospitality, and the winner is Thomas Cook, India. Next up, Masters of Risk in Logistics, and the award goes to All Cargo Gati. Moving on, the next category is Best Risk Practice, and the award goes to NSC Clearing. Our next category is Masters of Risk in Business Continuity Management, and the award goes to Finiotex Chemical. Let's now talk about risks in cybersecurity, Masters of Risk in Cybersecurity, and the winner is CPP Assistance Services. Next up, in the mid-cap segment is Masters of Risk in ESG, Environmental, Social and Governance, and the winner is All Cargo Gati for the second time coming on stage today. Next up, Masters of Risk in Fraud Prevention and Ethics Management, and the award goes to Airtel Payments Bank. The second last category in the mid-cap segment is Masters of Risk in Regulatory Compliance Management, and the winner is NoSale. And the final category in the mid-cap is Masters of Risk in Risk Governance, and the award goes to Avendus Capital. We now move on to the small cap segment. The first category in small cap segment is Masters of Risk Agriculture. And the award goes to National Bulk Handling Corporation. Our next category is Masters of Risk Manufacturing, and the winner is Sirca Paints India. And ladies and gentlemen, the final category in the small segment and the final award for the evening is Masters of Risk Services. And the award goes to Lumina Datamatics. Thank you so much, Mr. Mantri, Mr. Sandilya. Thank you, Latha. Thank you so much for doing the honors for us. A big congratulations to all the winners.
ICICI Lombard and CNBC-TV18 present India Risk Management Awards, a decade of celebrating risk champions.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.